Welcome to NJIT Math Podcast today. My name is Tao Ling, and today I will try to show you how to factor a trinomial of the form x squared plus bx plus c. This is the simplest form that you can factor, simplest form of trinomial you can factor. One thing you have to notice when you use the methods I'm going to show you is that all the trinomials you factor, this number in front of x has to be 1. That means there can be any other number multiplied by x. And also b and c are usually all integrals. Okay? Integers, sorry. Are all integers. So that means they are all whole numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, all negative numbers. Okay? So if you see a polynomial is in that form, it's called a trinomial, and there are some simple ways you can use to factor out the, the polynomial. So you want to factor this polynomial into a form like this of two smaller polynomials multiplying. It's usually x plus something or x minus something, or it could be x minus something or x plus something. I'm not sure. I mean, it depends on the case. Okay, so let me show you the methods for doing that. Let's look at a example. X squared plus 8x plus 15. 8x plus 15. Okay. So how do you factor this out into two smaller polynomials multiplying? Well, what you do is after you're making sure that this is just simply x squared without anything multiplying it, you look at the constant term, so 15, and then you try to factor it. 15, what can you factor into? Well, you can factor it into 1 and 15. 1 times 15 is 15, or 3 times 5. 3 times 5 is also 15. And what do you want? Well, you want the two numbers adding together, so 1 plus 15, this is 16. 3 plus 5 is 8. You want the pair where it gives you exactly the numbers in the middle. Okay, so the numbers for the x term, the coefficients for the x term. So in this case it would be 3 and 5, because 3 plus 5 gives you 8, which is the exact thing we want. So if we found that pair, and this is positive 3 times positive 5, we simply just write these two numbers in here. So the smaller polynomials will be x. It's always x and x, okay? And then the sign and the number depends on the factors you have. So it's plus 3 and plus 5. And that's your answer. Easy, right? Let's try another example. X squared minus 6x minus 16. Okay, now remember we have minus 16 here, and then we want to find a factor where it gives us exactly minus 16. Well, let's try 1 and minus 16, negative 16. 1 times negative 16 gives you negative 16. What about, so that's a factor. That's a good way to factor. But 1 minus 16, does it give you minus 6? Not really. So this pair doesn't work. Okay, let's try another pair. How about 4 times minus 4? Well, 4 times 4 is 16, and then you get a negative sign. And that's another factor. But however, does 4 times, so is 4 minus 4 gives you 0, and 0 is not minus 6, negative 6, so this pair doesn't work also. Let's try another pair. How about negative 2 times 8? well, negative 2 times 8 gives you negative 16. So, however, when you do negative 2 plus 8, this gives you 6. Well, 6 and negative 6, they are close, but the signs are different. So this still wouldn't work. The last pair we'll try is 2 and negative 8. Okay? So 2 times negative 8 gives you negative 16. But however, and also 2 minus 8 gives you negative 6. And this is the number we want. Okay? So that means this pair 2 and negative 8 works. So now the factor will be x, and I simply plug the 2 in. It will be x plus 2 times x, and I plug the negative 8 in. It will be x minus 8. Okay? So that will be the answer. 2 and negative 8. Not so difficult, huh? Okay, let's try one final example. X squared plus x plus 2. Okay? Now we have to factor the 2. Oh, there's also a case where none of the factor would work. Then this would mean you can't factor the polynomial, or you would say this polynomial is prime. So this is the case where it doesn't work. Okay, it doesn't work. The factor doesn't work. If it doesn't work, you call it prime. Okay. So let's try it. How do you factor 2? 2 you can factor. There's only really 2 ways to factor it. 2 can be either equal to 1 multiplied by 2, or negative 1 and multiplied by negative 2. Okay. However, if 1 plus 2, this gives you 3. Negative 1 plus negative 2, it gives you negative 3. Both 3 and negative 3 are not 1 here. Okay. It should be 1 in order for it to work. So all the combinations of the factor doesn't work. This will mean it cannot be factored, or we call this polynomial prime. Okay. So sometimes in the exam homework you will encounter a polynomial where it can be factored. That's when we call it prime. So that's it. This is the section for how to factor a trinomial. And thank you for watching, and good luck in your study.